So, hello and welcome to a momentous occasion here for all you sofa broker lovers. This is me, Solly. Over there is Dan, and over there is Alex. But we'll introduce Alex in a minute because, guys, this is the first ever Zoom version of a sofa broker podcast. So, whilst we always are so professional, know exactly what we're doing, and everyone loves us for our professionalism and how incredibly corporate our podcast is. Today, we might be a little bit off-piste with that, but to compensate, we do have a very, very good friend of ours, and I believe the first person from New York City to be on our podcast, whether live in the studio or on Zoom. Alex, first from New York. So, ladies and gentlemen, joining us from Manhattan, owning Manhattan from time to time, Mr. Alex Zakharin.
Alex,
how are you?
I'm very well. How you been?
Yeah, we're very good. One thing we're going to say is, how cold are you at the moment? How is it over there? We're seeing blizzards and all that kind of stuff.
I forgot how to think in terms of Celsius after living here for a decade. I think we're hovering around 0. But blizzard last week, we had thunderstorms, and you know how Americans love to say the first in 10 years, the strongest in 20 years. I'm like, the blizzard was the strongest since 2016. I'm like, I do recall having the same thing like a month ago.
Did you still put up with all that running bollocks that you do? All that getting up every morning, running around. What is it? You get up in the morning at 5 a.m. and run like 1,000 miles, right? Most people are in bed, cuddling up to their other half. You decide to get out of bed, leave her in bed, and go running, don't you?
I just don't have any social life whatsoever.
You're a liar. You're a liar. How long have you
running? Are you jogging in moon boots at the moment? How's that all going? How'd you get around?
It's good. It's good. February and January were the hardest months to run, and you so what's the word? This is disincentivized to do that, right? You just don't want to go out, right? I was doing some speed work last Wednesday, and it's impossible. Like, you go to the park, and you don't see this. You see like the snow a little bit on the surface, but it's covering the ice. So you can easily break your leg. And unlike UK, breaking leg in the United States doesn't bring any good luck. So,
Good analogy, good knowledge. See, this guy came prepared, ladies and gentlemen.
Did my homework.
What time do you start running, Alex, in the morning?
I try to start like 5-ish, if you wake up.
Solly's usually coming in at 5 a.m. from a night out.
See, just get used to this, guys.
No, but it's true. Solly is, usually that time's coming. And you're going out jogging, and then I take it your day. Take us through a quick morning as, Alex, the real estate agent, realtor. I mean, I don't know what to call you guys anymore because everyone in the UK is now calling you real estate people. So we've lost. It used to be in the UK, we was called estate agents, which was like, I like that. It was simple to remember. Me and Solly grew up saying it. And now the world changed and they're into real estate and they use the word listing, which used to be, instead of a listing, you'd be doing, if you was in a UK agent, you'd be going on a vow, like a valuation.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now that's changed and it's all listening to. Talk us through like until the afternoon. How does until the sort of like 1 o'clock? How's your day usually pan out?
Right. So 5 a.m. That's when I want to be like awake and doing my thing. So I basically do it first thing in the morning to get it off my plate. That's it. If I have a workout. If I'm getting ready for the race, whatever, I usually have a plan. So my coach would give me a plan what to do. And if you're getting ready for the marathon or any other race, you'll probably work out 6 times a week. And then that would be 1 long run, usually during the weekend. It would be 2 speed work runs, usually maybe Wednesday, and then 1 closer to the weekend, and like 3 or 4 easy runs. By easy, I mean maybe, 6, 7, 8, 9 miles.
Yeah, Alex, all this is really interesting, but when does the real start? Right? Forget the running bit. When we
should point out, actually, just because we haven't actually, explained this to the viewers, that Alex is part of the world famous Serhant team, which is, if you don't know about Serhant, you're probably, on the wrong podcast because this is a real estate loosely based podcast. So one of the
Right.
most famous, an old friend of ours goes back many, many years from just when $1 Million Listing came out. But Alex is part of Ryan Serhant's sort of super team and has been on various TV shows, which you'll talk about, I'm sure, in a minute. So just to put that in perspective, because Ryan was the guy that told agents back in the day, 10, 12 years ago, get up at 5 o'clock and beat the competition, right? Whether he said go marching and jogging around the whole of New York and New Jersey and everywhere else, I can't remember, but just there's the context for people.
So where are you by 9 a.m.? What's the plan then? So because what we get is we get a lot of
Pennsylvania.
We get a lot of younger kids that are thinking of coming in, and then we get a lot of agents that are getting used to the way it's happening as we move into this Americanization of real estate. And then we get a load of people that think they can get involved because Instagram is so easily accessible, and we'll get into your Instagram in a minute. But I just want to know from an American point of view, as you're in New York, this is what you do. So we can kind of pick out any similarities, and maybe we can give some good pointers, to the fellas and girls out there.
I'm thinking maybe let me just give you a couple of points from the calendar that I try to stick to, right? So workout first thing in the morning so you can just get it off your plate, be done with this, and you also enjoying the endorphins, right? And it looks like you're invisible, and cortisol level basically goes down. That's it. So you can handle the world better. I try to do it first thing in the morning, 5 a.m. club type of thing, right? And then 8 a.m. I need to be in the office. 8:15 a.m. I need to be in the office so I can make a few cold calls, right? This is a cold call session when I harass people. I mean, reaching out to people and then offering them to. Yeah, right. That takes maybe 1 hour and a half, right? So this is two most important routines. And then after that, it could be showings, it could be meeting with clients. And then later in the day, I try to block this time as well, usually between 5 and 6 p.m., follow up with whoever, right? This is the biggest breakthrough for me because you can follow up the client you closed a year ago, 2 years ago, and they actually want to buy something else. That's exactly what I had last week. I sold an apartment to a lady at the end of 2024. I just followed up. And she's like, I'm thinking about buying something else. Let's talk in 2 weeks. So that's only because I looked at my calendar, 5 p.m. follow up, and then I did follow up. That's it. So this is the most important thing for me, basically.
On that note, so one of the things I was going to ask you, because that's quite a fairly rigid kind of day. It's a fairly strict day, I guess, especially for independent people. Independent people don't have to be that strict, do they?
Right.
And it's probably something that's a bit of an anathema to people over here. It's a bit more lifestyle. Well, I get up, go and do something. Then I might do it. So how does it work in terms of like you talked about showing property at certain times. Over here, that's really difficult. The buyer is the king or queen, and therefore you show it when they want to see it. So how do you sort of juggle that in busy New York and with your sort of schedule?
Right. When I represent the buyers, I try to adjust to their schedule. Or schedule, like you say in the UK, I think.
Yeah, schedule.
Schedule.
Dan might say something else.
But when you lease the properties, obviously you try to create a demand around the properties, right? And you show when the property could be shown or when the property is available. Or like I just listed 220 Riverside Boulevard, that's over $5 million, huge apartment. And Riverside Boulevard, I mean, you guys know, maybe some of your audience will discover it's like this massive, part of like plot of land where, Trump used to build like buildings back in 2000s. And there is specific group of people that would only live in this place, right? So because of the views, the best time to show it is the golden hour. Right. And now the golden hour is roughly from 5 p.m. to like 5:45 p.m.
That's on the west of Manhattan, right? Yeah.
Exactly. West Manhattan.
West facing, yeah.
Exactly. So you want to show it at this time because it's going to be the most beautiful golden hour, sunset. People are going to love it. So if someone asks, can I come and see it during the day? You would try to convince them to, come later. So it really depends. But with buyers, like you said, buyer is the king. Show it anytime.
So actually, while we're on the topic of it, are you so we're very much so last year, buyer's market completely. They were kings, cash is king, all that kind of stuff. And we, traditionally over the years, we tend to follow New York slightly. What happens in New York, the trend tends to follow in terms of economy, buyers, all that kind of stuff. Are you finding that, yes, it was a buyer's year last year and it's slightly shifting the other way a little bit this year? Are you seeing that at all?
It's hard to say because it also depends on the price points, right? I think anything under 1 million in Manhattan, and anything maybe above 3-4 million, it's kind of seller's market because you don't have a lot of inventory. But then between, this range 1 to 3.5 million, I think the inventory is a bit more, and then it's also not a lot of people that looking for these properties. So it's kind of mixed. I don't know. How is it in the UK now in 2026?
I'd say probably fairly similar.
Okay.
I mean, the really ultra luxury market took an absolute hammering. I mean, it culminated in last year probably, it's
Right.
come back. And I think probably in light of what's going on, I'm just guessing here, and I'm not political at all, but in light of what's going on around
He is political. He is political.
I'm not really.
He's very political.
I'm just a good guy.
We have to be.
He always says that. I'm just a good guy.
But there's nothing worse than a real estate broker who's all over LinkedIn being political. Let's face it. Anyway, in my opinion. But
oh my God, it's just. Do you hear that? Are you listening to this? It's like typical liberals, isn't it? It's like, oh, we're so perfect. Yeah, we're just nice guys. We're just doing that. I'm just going to go and spray paint the Bank of England with a load of crap because I want to make a point.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Alex, you're doing it's the same, like, as we've always worked out on these conversations. Real estate's the same everywhere because it's about people, and it's about people, and it travels everywhere. Solly and I are everywhere. Solly's been out to France last week. I was in Madrid looking at apartments for €7.5 million. Tomorrow I'm flying off to Portugal for something at €10 million in Lisbon. And it's about just keeping the market move. So it's when we find an area, I hate being located to one area, because when the market goes stale, you're stuck. But, not everyone wants to do that. And a lot of people like to say hyper local. And I've listened to, you get up and you go out for a run. Solly's usually creeping indoors. And then after you've done this at about 9 o'clock, Solly has a shower for an hour and a half. And then you're into the game. And what Solly does, very similar things that we do. We do call out to find out what's going on with other. So I contact a lot of other agents, get them all going, speak to them. At the end of the day, you're going back and you're talking to other contacts, right? Because the worst thing to do is miss out on a contact because you haven't spoke to them for 6 months, and then you speak to them again and they go, "Oh, do you know I just bought something in Florida?" And I'm like, what are you doing? Buying something? Why? It's hard. So what I think you've done brilliantly, and I remember the first time you actually filmed us, right? When we was at an event.
And you were amazing.
Solly was amazing. You did. No, Solly, I'm not being left wing. You were fantastic, mate.
All eyes were on you, as they always are, Mr. Shouty Screamy.
But you guys, everybody loves you in New York. Everyone loves you. The way you behave, the way you look, also intelligent Brits. And also, I blame it to the accent.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, it's worse in Florida. But what you have done brilliantly and able to connect and make bridges is you have owned a really hard thing to own, which is Instagram, right? Yes. And we spoke earlier, about Mr. Sirhan and what he did. And he kind of like caught a wave at the beginning, but you came into a really crowded market. And I think with that becomes more than skill. There becomes, I want you to tell us, but I'm guessing there'd be a lot of dedication, a lot of missing, stuff that doesn't hit, dealing with, you must be really good at bringing yourself up with disappointment, because how many followers have you got now, Alex?
So most of my followers are on TikTok or Instagram, right? So it's roughly about 1 million combined. Probably over 800K, 805K on TikTok. And then, my Instagram is probably 150, a little over 150K. So, So we get this a lot, and Solly and I do this a lot. We try and work out how we can turn friends into clients. Right.
And we did this before, Solly, didn't we? When we were talking about, people that I meet at certain bike meets into Harleys, they come over and talk. And one of the things they always say is, what do you do? And once I say to real estate, interested or want to have a fight. But at least I know one of them two things is going to happen pretty quickly, right? How, once you got into Instagram and you are doing it, and what your Instagram, we'll put it on a link up on it. And we think everyone should follow you because you have managed to come into an area. So if someone's thinking about getting into real estate, or if someone's been doing it for 10 years and quite hasn't caught that algorithm or worked it out, what two bits of good advice could you give them that they could take home and away from this?
Uh, That's a good question. I think on every single platform, it would need to be easy for you to post on a regular basis, right? So you shouldn't like reinvent the wheel. If you're a real estate agent, you have access to properties probably, right? If not, you probably have access to a team leader or to your team, or maybe to whatever's happening in your office. It's always fascinating to watch as well. So it needs to be super easy to film. Like in my case, when I was building the TikTok audience right before the pandemic, like my first TikTok was probably like, the end of 2019, and then it like skyrocketed during the pandemic. I just had access to Manhattan apartments, and no one was really like viewing them because we had no idea, if you're gonna die after opening the door after all these germs, whatever. Right? And
Yeah.
then like, do we need to use the gloves? Do we need to come with the masks? Right? I just had access, and I was filming, and then I was posting. It was super easy. You could post easily 3, 5 times a day back then because no one else was doing this. And I think it should be easy because I never rely on discipline. I always rely like on easiness of that, right? The same with running. Sometimes, I was trying to get used to like earlier like jogging routine or run. Sometimes I would sleep in my outfit, like the running outfit, because like you just wake up, you already have it on you. All you have to do is open the door and like exit your
Yeah,
apartment.
yeah.
That's it. So it should be super easy. The same with content. The easier it is, the better, because at some point, if you hit a wall, and you're like, oh shit, what else do I film? I need to come up with this creative thing. I think from like the idea, the conception of idea to actually execution of this idea should be like 10 minutes or less. So, you film the apartment, you posted it, right? And then
Yeah.
maybe later on you can plan out your next 7 days, whatever, you can be creative about it, right? So that's number one thing. Number two thing, post more stories, like behind the scene type of thing. People love it. Your team meeting on Monday, just post it. It's fun, right? Maybe you failed at some of the showing, so you just, fucked up your deal. People love seeing this as well. They love seeing your losses a lot.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people relate to my losses more than anything else. Your boyfriend, girlfriend, your cat. I have people that only follow me because of my cat. My cat is more likable than me. So, and they will, I post him and then they're like, oh my God. And then they would share their cats. I'm like, great,
Yeah.
maybe you'll buy the apartment one day for a cat from me. I don't know, but we connect based on cats. So all your interests, just show them in stories. I think that's amazing to see.
So one thing I wanted to ask you on that. So I would what you'd call us a moderate content, moderate number of followers, moderate number of comments, engagement, should we call it, with Instagram. That's pretty much what I use. And it's fine, and it does, it does whatever it needs to do for me. I'm not sure what that is, to be honest with you. But
Okay.
one thing I wanted to ask for you, someone there's probably quite a few people in my position, whether they're older guys like me or younger ones coming through, have hit a wall, but they think it's more important, whatever it might be. What, how important is the marriage? And this is probably a bit too technical a question, but how important is the marriage between TikTok and Instagram for you in terms of them? What do they work side by? Does one embellish the other, or would you say to someone it's too much? Just concentrate on one. What do you think now in 2026, a few years down the line?
Right. In 2026, everything is changing, and sometimes I don't catch why some videos like are not flying and why some videos are actually doing really well. Instagram's been very slow this year. Maybe it's me, but also I touch base with the guys in the office all the time as well. So Instagram was kind of weird. So we don't know if they change it or not, but the basic change is that I think both TikTok and Instagram, they really favor like raw type of videos.
Yeah.
Even with apartments, sometimes you would assume that like you take your iPhone and you need to do like wide angle, right? So apartment looks like bigger and nicer.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just do like one, like a regular.
Yeah.
Somehow people love it more. So I think they both similar that they favor raw content to like some extent. Also, there are similarities when it comes to, for instance, apartment tours. If as a realtor, if you or a state agent, if you post apartment tours, it favors similar things. Amazing views, always great.
Yeah.
Something that makes the apartment outstanding. Maybe an atrium in the middle of the living room. Maybe I don't know, maybe super expensive kitchen, or also the shittiest apartments. They like fly on Instagram. Show
Yeah.
Manhattan smallest rental was going to be like smaller than this room for like $3,000 a month, right? And you say, this is what you get for 3,000 a month, and then you don't even have like bathroom facilities. It's like outside. that catches a lot of attention. So I think like contrasting like good and bad things that fly together. But on the other hand, there are like differences. You could see sometimes you post the same thing on TikTok and Instagram, and it goes well on TikTok and it doesn't go on Instagram, or the other way around. But I don't even have the all answers, to be honest. Like you need to experiment, right? Eye candies work really well, something beautiful, and then something not scripted. I started a few weeks ago posting cold calls, right? Completely unscripted, like and even though I mean it goes into like thousands of views, it's not yet in the millions of views, but the engagement is higher because people can relate, right? And then I keep meeting people who like in sales, not necessarily in real estate, and they're like, "Dude, thanks for posting it. It's like really great. I've been in sales all my life, and like this motivates me." And I also noticed that my current or previous clients somehow they love that. Like they don't have anything to do with my cold calls, but I guess I don't know. Maybe they love the persistence. Maybe they love perseverance. I got a listing from
any clients that have fucked you off on one of those phone calls that are now your clients.
Exactly.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
That's so real. It's so genuine.
Yeah.
I've seen some of them, and I think they are brilliant. And I think that's what's missing a lot. And it's a lot of stuff that Sonny and I do on our academy. That actually stand up and missing bit is missing, because when you're an agent, when you're any type of salesperson, which we all are, so salesmen and women, the first thing we have to be get used to doing is picking the phone up, right? If I could tell every single guy and girl out there that wants to get into this industry, make 2,000 sales calls and you will be rich. But they do it a few times, they get some rejection, they get some success, and then it peters out, right? They don't continue it. And I think, why does it peter out? Because they don't want to go home and tell their partners and their friends. When you break it down to what I really do, is I pedal. I pick the phone up and I phone people out. That's all I do. I'm not on Wall Street. I'm not setting the world alight. I'm not doing this. I'm a peddler. I'm phoning this guy or girl up and I'm telling them to buy this product, and I'm going to make them buy this product because they should buy this product, because I'm telling them how to buy it and make it the easiest way for them to turn into do it and to move the sale forward, right? From there. Right. But they won't fucking do it. They won't do it 2,000 times. They get to 1,000 times and they think they're going to make it, so they stop, right? I remember when I started out doing this door knocking. I used to door knocking for a double glazing company, and an old guy worked there, and he was the richest old guy in the company, right? And he used to do door knocking, not the closer, just the canvasser. Would knock on the doors and open it up, right? And I said to him one night, that's it, I've had enough. I had no luck. I've had enough. I'm stopping. He went, how far did you get, Daniel? I went up to there, to number 86. And he went, okay. He said, give me 20 minutes. I'm just going to do 87, 89, 90. And I went, why? He went, well, if you've already banked that much rejection, the yes must be so much closer to you than when it was when you started out. And I'm going to benefit from that. And I went, like, fuck you. And I ran across the road, pulling, banging on the door again. And Solly does this. We all do this. And other people will laugh about it, that we're going out and we're door knocking and doing it, because they don't. Why are you doing that? You should be above that now, right? You shouldn't have the need to do that. And we have to.
Nobody's above getting a great client.
Exactly.
We get referrals, yes, but also you want to keep at the sharp end. And for new people, you never know who's behind that door. So you doing cold calls in real time, I think, is underrated, and something that I'm sure Solly would agree. Something we should get you on to do on the academy, because it's a whole new world, And the thing is with real estate, it doesn't matter what country you're in; it's the same thing that happens. It's just people talking to people, right. And just so happens.
Actually, you touched on something really important there, because as this whole, as you well know, Alex, Dan and I were pretty much at the forefront of the whole sort of, should we say luxury, but let's say that the high-end American brokerage into the UK. We were kind of right on the first wave that hit the beach, and it's can be good, can be bad. Can be certainly get a few rocks on the way. But with all now that it's the norm, or as close to the norm as it's ever been, and going in that and unstoppably going in that direction, it's actually weird to see how some of those sort of that lack, that person that stops at a 1,000, that estate agent, that UK kind of estate agent, those kind of guys are now running some of these agencies, with that sort of mentality. And it'd be really, because we're very much in go, 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 don't be shy, get up, be comfortable, all that kind of very sort of American kind of attitude. We very much reflect that in our academies, with obviously an ultra sort of London delivery. But it'd be interesting to get you when we've got it all rigged up and ready to go again. It'd be interesting to get you on just as for that perspective. I think very much for the whole get up and go drive element to it, which you clearly have. I mean, it is astounding to see what you do every day. But also, 100 million odd whatever it is in sales that you've done is not an inconsiderable amount. Plus, also, it's so important, the whole social media side. So one day we might call on you and say, hey, these guys need to hear a different accent. Come on and talk to them from a New York perspective. Because if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Exactly. I love it. That's also one of the things, like in New York, because everybody's from somewhere. There's a lot of people, like I come from Russia, and everybody's like, oh, you have an accent, I have an accent, I have Eastern European accent, I have Spanish accent. What is then gonna answer? And you were like, dude, probably 50% of people that gonna talk to you, the landlords, the sellers, they are from somewhere else. So who gives a shit about your accent? And also it's memorable, right? So people remember you because of that. Just like why you guys are so loved here in New York, attributed to, part of it to the accent, right? So I think it's amazing. The same with the cold call. You call them and they love it.
So look, we can't let you go
you're
without
cold calling. Sorry, that you're cold calling out in an accent. Basically like an immigrant coming into the US and doing what anyone can pick that up and can speak to this person on the other end, right? Anyone, they could be sitting on their ass now, right, working in McDonald's, they could do this, right? They can be taught how to do it, but they've got to have some chutzpah, they've got to have something in them that makes them want to continue doing it. So it's not the American dream. This is everyone's fucking dream. If you want to make money, I guarantee you, as sure as God made little green apples, in your phone is £1 million in real estate transactions that you could bank, but you're never going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, because you're too fucking lazy to actually pick the phone up and do the same thing repetitively every fucking day because you want to be out pissing around on, not you, I'm talking about others, on Instagram with shirts that are too tight and skirts that are like belts, you know what I mean? With walking around like this, looking fucking immaculate and unbelievable in your contract hire or company lease Ferrari, up and down, talking about this brilliant listing that you've actually borrowed from another agent who does get up every day and do this, and wondering why it doesn't just go fucking viral. You're like, that
like Miami to me. Huh? I've seen it in Florida.
Florida. It happens a lot everywhere, trust me. People become that kind of agent now. But look, I've got a question for you, right? Why did you leave Compass? Weren't they just about to go, bing? Because I know you left somewhere else, and then you joined Compass.
Yes.
And you left Compass just before all of a sudden Refkin went, oh, I've wrapped everything into one.
Yeah, I couldn't do my shit in Compass. I was censored to a big extent. Even the cold call culture, like in my team, because I had 6 agents on my team, and then I was incentivized everyone, guys, let's fucking nail, let's make calls, let's create this synergy because we're together calling, right? This energy. And we've been, kind of like bashing walls maybe too much. It just culturally was not my thing at all. I was in corporation before I came to this country. When I was in Russia, I was in oil and gas, and there was so many similarities. Because back in Gazprom as well, I was like, let's do this, let's do meetings. Of course, I was not commission based. I was a salaried worker, but I was international business. I was basically selling oil and gas contracts to people from Japan, China, and I was like, let's do this, and they're like, take your time. You don't have to be efficient. We have budget for like 3 years. We can, do it step by step. I'm like, oh, what if we do everything in 1 year and then we switch to something else? And they're like, no, 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 no. Like it's fine. We don't need this thing. So that's how it resonated to me. But I know they have great agents. They have strong teams there. I know for some people it works. For me, I felt like it just was too tight, like the ceiling, like you're in the box. Don't
So
do it.
how long did it take you to say yes to Ryan?
I was actually so I knew Ryan for many years, and then I joined Niall Langren, and then Niall and I we know each other since like 2021, 2022, and it's been going since then. But I needed my thought process, I needed my like journey, right, to try everything. So it's yeah.
So we've done the sort of that's a bit of gossip, obviously, and we've done the sort of technical side of it and whatever, and the get up and go side of it. But we can't leave it at that. We've got to talk. What was it like? Because we're obviously amongst celebrity. I'm amongst celebrities here. So what was it? What was it like? Just tell us, because people are interested in real estate. People are interested in TV shows. What was it like doing owning Manhattan? Was it fun, enjoyable? Did it work?
Yeah. So owning Manhattan, that's another funny thing because I have a brief cameo appearance, right, in one of the episodes in season 2 that was released on December 5th on Netflix. They filmed it back in 2024. I was with the other company back then. And it took like 1.5 years basically to film. I'm not the cast again. I have my appearance there, right?
Yeah.
But like for cast people, they've been doing it throughout 2024 and up until I think mid 2025. Like, don't quote me on that, but it's close to 1.5 years, right? So when I was in 2024, I was a speaker, like a panel speaker in the Expo, New York City Expo that takes place every October. And then I was on the panel with Niall from Serhant. And then he was like, hey, filming. If you have a buyer for this property, let's film. And I did have a buyer for the penthouse they were selling on the Upper West Side on 96. And I'm like, sure. And then that's how we filmed. I brought my buyer. And the funny thing with Netflix, you don't know if you're going to make it to the final cut. I mean, if you're the main cast, of course, you're going to make it if you're Ryan or Niall. But like in my case, they told me, like, maybe you will, maybe you won't. If you want, like, let's do it. Going to be fun thing. Let's try. I'm like, cool. So I told my buyer, like, we're just going to throw punchlines. Let's prepare punchlines. Let's be ready. And it's like spaghetti. Like, some of it's going to stick.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Right? So if we have like a bunch of punchline and if we like funny in front of the cameras, we have chances to make it, right? So that's what we did. Like I went in and then I'm like, oh, this is Niall, my colleague, this is Lisa, my client. We go to the same barber. And like there's a lot of funny things. And there were more that didn't make it to the final cut. But like some parts of it are actually in the episodes. That was insane. And the same with my buyer. She was like, oh, this kitchen, it's like so grand. It looks like Taj Mahal, this apartment. And she made it there as well. And then I know a lot of people who were in similar roles that are not on Netflix final cut. So, it's a little gamble as well.
It is. You've got to have a face for TV to be on it. I think I've been told a few times. So
Right.
it's kind of it's interesting. But you said also, so you started off, you was in oil and gas. You landed in New York, right? How old was you?
My late 20s.
What was the plan?
There was no plan. The plan was to figure out how to make it and to stay. There is no bigger incentive of like, I don't want to go back home. Because Russia back then, there was already first like invasion in Ukraine. And then I was like, damn. And then the economy was going low. There was borders were closing. Like you could sense that. And then it wasn't a rocket science. I'm not like a genius or anything else. But back in 2017, basically, at the end of 2017, you could see that country was militarizing. You see that if they militarize, they're gonna attack someone again, right?
Yeah.
Like this, why all the budgets go into the military? And then obviously in 2022, oh my God, they invaded Ukraine. They just invaded Ukraine. Who could think? Everyone could think, right? At least inside, if you're insider. And so I was like, damn, no. I mean, you'd better go, because if you look in the next 10 years, 20 years, what you're gonna do in the country that's like want to kill everyone and not even thinking about the economy. They don't even think the language of the economy, improving the human index, right? Like longevity, better lifespan, better education, better healthcare. No, it's like everything goes into military, right? So, and then I left, and I've been in New York before. I came here first after high school as a work and travel program. That's for, I think, Eastern Europeans and like Russian.
Right.
do that. You would go 6 months visa, J1. You can work, you can study language. That's where I did my attempt to study language back then. Later on, I gave up. It's too hard. But that's like that's I love the experience. Oh, I also in 2016. There was this program by American councils called Russian Young Business Leaders. So they would do like a scholarship. You would go and you study a little bit in Georgetown University. You would do internship in the related area of like whatever you were doing back home. So then you can go back and like build the bridge and maybe establish business together between the countries, right? And so that was my second encounter in 2016, and then I went back. And I was like, damn, I need to figure it out. I just need to make it somehow. And then nothing was happening. And then one day I just took a ticket and, St. Petersburg, Moscow, New York, and that's it. So
wow. And how did you get into real estate?
A friend of mine who was in sales, he was selling cars in St. Petersburg, Russia. It was my good high school friend. He was like, oh, there is this girl. She, just like you, she's crazy. She moved to New York a few years ago. I think she's in real estate. Maybe you guys want to meet. Maybe she will, guide you, whatever. And I was on the lookout for like opportunities. And I'm like, cool. So he connected us. We met. I asked her, how it works, and she's like, "Well, because we started with rentals in New York, right? Usually."
Yeah.
So she was like, "Okay, you can just rent an apartment. If you bring a, renter to the apartment, she'll be like, you can make so apartment is $3,000, right? So your commission is $3,000, and then you split it with the house, and hopefully you have a like maybe half, whatever. We'll start usually. I mean, I started with 50-50 with the house, and so I was like, wow. So all I have to do is find someone who will rent an apartment." And get like half of the money, like monthly rent to me personally as a commission. She's like, yeah. I'm like, wow, that's like, doesn't sound super hard. And she's like, I can, arrange a meeting in the company. And that's how it started. So it was my first company, Avenues Real Estate. I spent there like 5 years. My first 2 years, I was just doing our bait and switch rentals using Craigslist. I'm not sure if you guys have Craigslist in the UK.
No.
And so imagine a website where everybody can post any type of ad, sell or buy anything, any service, whatever. And the website looks like we just invented the internet. It's like still 1995. It's never changed since then.
We had Loot.
Loot?
We had
something called Loot.
Okay, Loot. Sounds like it's something similar.
It's pretty low rent, but it was good fun. If you like looking for sort of bicycles and cars and flats, that kind of thing.
You could advertise flat, and then it's an open market in Manhattan. There are like a bunch of rental companies. They would just upload the market, have a bunch of inventory, and then outside agents can bring renters, and they will pay you money, or you can charge the renter. So we would post it on Craigslist, just like someone else's apartment, not even yours. You
so
just
cold calling. Cold calling.
Cold calling on Craigslist, kind of cold calling online, sort of. I think it's similar.
Calling out. It's the simple thing, right? Real estate is about getting out there, being out there, and it's nice that you're still doing it and are still up to it in your own unique way.
Right.
Solly and I do watch what you're up to, and I'm sure many more people do now we're excited to see where it goes for you. As it moves forward. Solly and I are doing something new now as well, which is very exciting and has picked up in a different direction. And even though we're looking at the world as a whole now in areas where we want to go, it's really nice to know that in New York there's someone that runs around who's into cats and can deliver.
Daisy.
Brilliant. Yeah, is he still up there?
Daisy.
I'm just waiting.
Yeah. So with that, I think it's fair enough to say, Alex, look, give us your Instagram and TikTok names.
Say again, sorry, Instagram, TikTok name.
Don't worry. If you want to give the viewers your TikTok and whatever details now, you can. Or we can
do it now.
Them.
Right. So all my accounts will be basically my first name and last name, right? Like Alexander Zakharin. So it's you'll
Easy
see.
enough.
Yeah, and then
I'm never going to be able to spell that. Alexander.
That's what I'm for.
Yeah, well, that what Solly's for, and then fantastically
ChatGPT put me out of a job with Dan now.
Right.
I'm redundant.
But I still need him. He still needs me for French translations because I'm pretty good at working that out.
Range is hard.
So, Alex, again, fantastic to have you on. It's been lovely to have you in some sort of virtual way.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope at some point the three of us can be in New York and we'll put a sofa on Fifth Avenue.
I might have to wait 3 years for that, guys, but we won't explain.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we can come tomorrow, right? It's just we haven't bothered to yet.
You guys are so close. London is so close. I can't believe you're not here every other weekend. We should party.
Yeah, my jet ski's not working.
Okay.
Yeah. Solly's adamant he won't be allowed in. But with that, thanks a lot. It is a good call. It's really interesting what you said about Instagram and TikTok and just doing something in a raw form.
Yeah.
Don't frame it. Don't worry about it. Don't have your nails done. Don't have your hair done. Don't worry. Just put something out there. And
don't overthink. I think everybody's overthinking. So just don't overthink. It's fine to mess it up first time, redo it another time, and post, as opposed to all right, thinking about it, and then maybe one day you'll do it.
Yeah, I think that's the best takeaway that the guys and girls out there can do. And do it. Get involved. As Alex said, pick the phone up. The phone doesn't ring itself. If you're standing in a queue with a load of people, start talking to them. Get involved. Let people know what you're doing. I still think the best material we have is the business card. Every opportunity, just give that card out and give it to people. So look, I'm going to do this we've got no producer or Stan here, so me and Solly are a bit lost. So I'm going to say follow us on Amazon, Apple, Solly. YouTube.
We've got a Facebook page now with about 3 people on it, but we'll get there.
Just look, if you find us anyway, if you manage to find us, it's because we are clearly.
It's probably going to be because Alex is going to mention us. That's how.
I just filmed stories. I just filmed the beginning of that. I'm going to post it right now.
So look, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for being on Safer Broker. Can't wait to see you all again. See you next time.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, Alex. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.